Imagine a world emerging from darkness, a landscape of infinite possibility, where every block placed or broken tells a story of creation. Now close your eyes and listen. Soft piano notes drift like wind through pixelated trees. A gentle arpeggio echoes in vast underground caverns, and somewhere beneath it all pulses the quiet heartbeat of a game that would redefine creativity itself. This is the sound of Minecraft, a soundtrack born not in corporate boardrooms, but in the quiet corners of the internet where two dreamers collided. Our story begins in the mid-2000s, a time when indie games bubbled beneath the surface of mainstream gaming like lava pools waiting to erupt into something extraordinary. Marcus Persson, known to the world as Notch, tinkered with prototype versions of a block building sandbox game, while across digital landscapes, a German musician named Daniel Rosenfeld crafted ambient soundscapes under the alias C418. Their meeting was inevitable to artists orbiting the same burgeoning indie scene, drawn together by shared fascination with the unexplored potential of interactive worlds. When Notch heard Daniel's music, ethereal compositions that breathed life into empty spaces, he recognized something primal and perfect for his emerging creation. The early days were an experiment in synergy. Rosenfeld received primitive game builds, endless expanses of green grass and jagged mountains rendered in chunky pixels, and responded with music that didn't just accompany the visuals, but deepened them into emotional territory. He worked with deliberate minimalism, crafting tracks that felt discovered rather than composed, like finding a mysterious cassette tape in an abandoned mineshaft. Volume Alpha emerged from this alchemy, its very existence a testament to creative trust. Amid spaghetti code and placeholder textures, Rosenfeld composed while imagining the lonely beauty players might feel digging their first mine, or watching a blocky sunrise. Technically limited by the game's audio engine, he turned constraints into virtues, looping delicate melodies just long enough to feel familiar before dissolving into silence, leaving players alone with the crunch of gravel underfoot. Tracks like Subwoofer Lullaby became hypnotic companions for nocturnal building sessions, warm synth pads wrapping around players like a safety blanket against the night's creeping dangers. Yet it was Sweden that crystallized Minecraft, Sonic's solo fragile piano piece that somehow contained everything from childhood nostalgia to existential wonder within its simple melody. Fans would later describe hearing it while tending to virtual wheat fields or building cabins in snowy biomes, tears welling up without knowing why, an emotional gravity that transcended both the game's simplistic visuals and their own expectations of what game music could be. This was no orchestral fanfare or adrenaline-pumping battle theme, but something quieter, braver music that made solitude feel profound. Combat sequences broke tradition entirely. C418 scored fights with skittering electronic pulses mimicking the rattling bones of skeletons rather than heroic brass sections. The message was clear: in Minecraft's universe, you weren't a destined warrior, but a vulnerable survivor finding beauty in transient moments, watching rain fall on homemade gardens, discovering bioluminescent mushrooms deep underground. Those fleeting seconds when the soundtrack swelled just as you crested a hill to reveal an alien-looking mushroom biome stretching to the horizon. Gamers accustomed to Hollywood-style scores found themselves unnerved by this approach. At first, rare was the triumphant theme celebrating their Diamond D sword upgrade, until they realized Rosenfeld's brilliance. By resisting musical cliches, he'd given them ownership of their emotional journey. Every shiver at the creaking sounds in abandoned mineshafts. Every swell of pride when their humble dirt hut transformed into a castle accompanied by soft synth choirs. These weren't prescribed feelings, but personal discoveries amplified by sound design. So subtle many players couldn't distinguish composed music from environmental ambience. Years passed. Minecraft exploded from cult hit to cultural landmark, and still that soundtrack endured, woven into millions of childhoods across languages and continents. But evolution was inevitable. When the Nether update transformed hellish lava seas into complex biomes teeming with soul sand valleys and crimson forests, a new musical voice emerged, Nina Rain. Her track Pigstep crackled into the collective consciousness like a lightning strike of funky bass-driven anthem blasting from jukeboxes as players rode striders across molten lakes. Purists gasped at the stylistic leap, distorted vocals, drum breaks. But Rain understood Minecraft's core truth better than anyone. This wasn't a static world, but an ever-expanding universe needing musical diversity as rich as its biomes. Tracks like Other Side combined eerie choral motifs with throbbing electronic textures for deep cave explorations, while Stand Tall infused underwater monument raids with pulsating urgency. The community splintered temporarily. YouTube comments sections flooded with debates comparing the ambient purity of Moog City against the abrasive energy of Chrysopia, until players realized this wasn't replacement, but expansion. C418's compositions remained woven into the game's DNA. Overworld themes still triggered randomly during quiet mornings spent animal farming, while Rain and later composers like Kumi Tanioka added dimension to New Frontiers. What happened next transcended gaming entirely. Students streamed vinyl copies of Volume Alpha while studying, kids hummed Danny during school recesses, and TikTok trends repurposed Sweden into bittersweet retrospectives about growing up. The music leaked beyond screens into real-world spaces. Orchestras performed Minecraft suites to weeping audiences. Engaged couples walked down aisles to piano covers of Hagstrom. Therapists used the calming tracks for anxiety treatments. The albums themselves became artifacts of modern folklore. Volume Beta's green disc hidden in dungeon chests as rare loot translated into triple vinyl box sets sold in urban record stores. Minecraft's greatest musical magic trick revealed itself. It had trained an entire generation to find an emptiness, to hear profundity in sparse arrangements. Game developers across the industry took notes. Open world titans like Elden Ring embraced ambient sound design principles pioneered by Rosenfeld's work, while indies saw composers who could emulate his knack for turning musical restraint into emotion. All expansiveness. Academic papers dissected how shifting from C418's solitary sound to communal remix culture. Think thousands of fan-made biomods with customized playlists mirrored Minecraft's journey from solo survival experiment to global collaborative platform. So here we stand today, children who first trembled at harebrained myths now teaching their own kids to build dirt huts as Mice on Venus plays softly in the background. The miracle of Minecraft's soundtrack isn't just its compositional brilliance, but its infinite adaptability, a mirror held up to each player's imagination. Whether summoning nostalgia through four-note piano motifs, or pulsing with the adrenaline of new, netherite gear. These sounds formed an unconventional legend proof that the right music can transform digital blocks into emotional cathedrals. Every lonely train ride scored by wet hands. Every university all-nighter buoyed by Kyoto. Every whispered asterisk. I remember this song asterisk when weather, beaten iPod shuffles to Clark. These aren't just gameplay memories, but shared human moments in a fragmented world. The screen fades to black now, but the melody lingers, a single piano note hanging in the air, like the first block placed in a vast new world waiting to be shaped by whoever presses play next. Imagine yourself standing in a vast digital landscape just after sunset, blocks of Earth, stretching toward a pixelated lavender sky. Torches flickering in the distance like earthbound stars. There's a quiet here, not emptiness, but presence, as the first piano notes drift in like mist over a mountainside. This is the auditory soul of Minecraft, an experience inseparable from the mind of one man who transformed electronic experimentation into the soundtrack of a generation. The world knows him as C418, but behind those cryptic letters lies Daniel Rosenfeld, a shy German artist whose melodies became the beating heart of Minecraft's infinite worlds. His compositions didn't just accompany the game. They breathed life into its blocky terrain, turning procedural generation into poetry and mining into meditation. To understand how simple piano motifs could hold such emotional gravity, we must travel back to 1980s East Germany, where a creative spark first flickered in a child surrounded by Cold War concrete. Young Daniel's world was one of contrasts, the stark realities of communism's final decades clashing with emerging electronic underground where cassette tapes of forbidden Western music passed between hands like contraband. His imagination lit up not with grandiose symphonies, but with the bubbling synths of early video game soundtracks. Primitive blips and bleeps that hinted at entire universes contained within plastic cartridges. Family Computer became his playground, its internal speaker emitting crude digital tones that captivated him far more than traditional instruments collecting dust in school music rooms. As the Berlin Wall crumbled and new cultural currents flowed through reunited Germany, teenage Daniel discovered the ambient revolutionaries reshaping electronic music's possibilities. Brian Eno's soundscapes that unfolded like blooming flowers. Aphex Twin's glitchy dream sequences. Boards of Canada's warped childhood nostalgia. These artists taught him that silence could be as powerful as sound, that technology's coldness could mirror human warmth in unexpected ways, while classmates drowned out the world with pounding techno. Daniel would spend hours layering synth pads that shimmered like moonlight on still water, recording tracks in his bedroom that felt less like songs and more like places you could inhabit. This wasn't just music, it was architecture for the soul. The year was 2009 when fate intervened via an internet forum thread. Marcus Persson, better known as Notch, was developing a peculiar passion project, a sandbox game without objectives, where players could shape worlds block by block. It needed a sonic identity as unconventional as its gameplay, something that respected the silence while coloring it with emotional texture. When Notch heard Daniel's early experiments uploaded under the cryptic alias C418, a reference to command codes in music software, he recognized something extraordinary: tracks that didn't demand attention, but gently altered the air around them. Their collaboration began with humble pragmatism. Work traded between two enthusiasts who scarcely imagined Minecraft would become a cultural phenomenon. Faced with the game's endless variability, Daniel composed not linear pieces, but living ecosystems of sound. Each track needed to loop seamlessly for hours without becoming tiresome, an audiovisual haiku, where plinking raindrops could harmonize with random piano notes. He created melodies that felt discovered rather than composed, using subtle mathematical patterns that mirrored the game's procedural landscapes. Tracks like Sweden emerge from this alchemical process, its melancholic piano progression, evoking twilight memories that never existed, perfectly synchronized with the player's solitary mining or castle building. The genius lay in what he didn't compose, the pregnant pauses where environmental sounds took center stage. The asterisk squelch asterisk of mud underfoot, the asterisk clink asterisk of a pickaxe striking ore, the distant rumble of thunder. These became rhythmic partners to the music rather than competition. Daniel described this approach as giving the sounds room to breathe, ensuring players felt immersed rather than accompanied. When Minecraft exploded into global consciousness, its soundtrack achieved something unprecedented: ambient music that children could hum from memory. Fans described weeping inexplicably upon hearing subwoofer lullaby during quiet moments underground. As though the game itself had recognized their solitude. Parents found these tracks soothing their anxious toddlers. Therapists used them for meditation sessions, and an entire generation internalized these melodies as the sound of unfettered creativity. For Daniel, this success brought both pride and unease. As Microsoft acquired Minecraft in 2014 for $2.5 billion, the composer faced corporate realities alien to his early bedroom collaborations. Newer updates demanded more cinematic scores, orchestral swells, and heroic motifs that clashed with his philosophy of subtlety. Though he contributed additional pieces for the nether and end dimensions, cavernous drones and cosmic whispers that felt like sound design from another dimension. Daniel increasingly felt the weight of Minecraft's expectations. His decision to step back wasn't born of bitterness, but preservation, recognizing that the fragile magic connecting his music to millions couldn't survive endless iteration. Away from the Minecraft spotlight, Daniel returned to his first love, sonic exploration unburdened by expectations. Albums like 148 and Excursions served as manifestos of his artistic creed, elegy field recordings of abandoned factories, melodic fragments buried under layers of granular synthesis, rhythms that imitated the cyclical patterns of nature. Listeners expecting comforting nostalgia found instead challenging ambient textures, proof that C418 was never just the Minecraft composer, but an auteur with restless curiosity. The most fascinating evolution came full circle as millions raised on Minecraft's soundtrack began creating games themselves. A new generation of indie developers cited C418's work as fundamental inspiration, understanding that emotional resonance mattered more than technical complexity. Games like Stardew Valley Terraria and Celeste bore his influence in their delicate piano motifs and reverence for quiet space. Meanwhile, Vinyl pressings of the *Minecraft* albums became cult objects, and translucent green records selling for hundreds on secondary markets, their physicality contrasting beautifully with the digital landscapes they scored. For Daniel, this legacy remains beautifully bittersweet. In rare interviews, he expresses wonder that sounds he crafted in isolation became the backdrop to first loves, friendships forged across continents, and childhoods colored by digital creation. When fans approach him with tears in their eyes describing how mice on Venus helped them through dark times, he accepts these stories with gracious bewilderment, an introvert forever surprised by his invisible connection to strangers. His greatest work achieved something music critics still struggle to define. It wasn't heard so much as felt in the bones like sunlight through leaves. As natural to Minecraft's universe as gravity, and yet as mysterious as overworlds distant. Horizons. Those drifting piano notes contain multitudes, nostalgic not for any specific memory, but for the collective childhoods of a digital era. For the infinite worlds we built within ourselves while stacking blocks beneath pixel stars. The man who once crafted sounds in German obscurity now occupies a paradoxical space, both absent and ever-present. His music continually rediscovered by each new player digging their first mine shaft as the sun sets, and those haunting familiar chords begin to rise like mist over a landscape still waiting to be born. The soft chime of a music box drifts across a sun-dappled meadow, the familiar piano notes weaving through swaying grass as a lone figure mines iron beneath towering birch trees. This is the soundscape generations of players have carried in their hearts since Minecraft's earliest days. C418's melodies etched into digital memory like sunlight preserved in amber. Yet somewhere beyond the horizon, lava bubbles in crimson chasms, hidden caves echo with unseen drifts, and ancient cities slumber in unimaginable darkness, realms demanding new musical languages to articulate their terrors and wonders. Enter Lena Raine, standing beneath the weight of legacy with a synthesizer in one hand and the world's expectations balanced precariously in the other. Her journey beginning not with a crescendo but with a held breath, tasked with the impossible, expanding Minecraft's soul without breaking its heart. When whispers first circulated that someone new would compose for the Nether update, the community's reaction rippled like disturbed water. How could anyone follow Daniel Rosenfeld's iconic work, those gentle melodies that had rocked players to sleep under pixelated stars, guided them through first diamond discoveries, soundtracked a million heartbreaks when creepers obliterated half-built castles. But Mojang wasn't seeking a replacement. They hunted an evolution, someone who could translate the game's growing complexity into auditory emotion. And in Lena they found a composer fluent in nostalgia yet fearless in innovation. An artist who revered C418's minimalism while hungering to paint with broader sonic brushstrokes. Imagine her studio in those early days. The pressure humming louder than her equipment as she dissected Minecraft's DNA note by note, studying how Rosenfeld used negative space as another instrument, how loneliness could sound cozy, how simplicity masked profound emotional intelligence. She didn't attempt replication, but rather communion. Like lighting a new candle from an eternal flame, her creative mandate clear: Honor what came before while composing for the Minecraft yet to be discovered? Skepticism shadowed her first released track. Whispers in forums questioning whether thrumming bass lines belonged in this world of chirping birds and plinking glass notes, until players descended into the Nether's reimagined hellscape and suddenly understood, as strangled synths pulsed alongside distorted piglin snorts and rhythmic fire crackles in pickstep, it wasn't just background music but lived experience. The track's anxious energy mirroring dodged gassed fire and precarious netherite mining, an anthem not of safety but survival, proving innovation could deepen rather than betray Minecraft's essence. Word spread like redstone circuits lighting up. From hardcore adventurers to casual builders, something extraordinary was unfolding note by note, layer by layer, a renaissance vibrating through gaming's most beloved soundscape. Now journey deeper, beyond fortress bastions and crimson forests, through weeping stone into caverns, where Rain's genius truly crystallized, quite literally in the lush caves, her music box melodies returning but transformed. Dripping like glowing spore blossoms in waterlogged caves, where axolotls dart through submerged ruins. Here the familiar becomes uncanny as she threads C418's DNA through new mutations. Aquatic harp glissandos mimicking bubbles rising, ethereal choirs echoing cathedral-like spaces. And beneath it all a profound geological silence that makes every note feel discovered rather than composed, as if players aren't hearing music but overhearing the caves themselves, whispering ancient secrets. Contrast this with the deep dark, where sound itself becomes the enemy. Her compositions, here masterclasses in dread, utilizing sub-bass frequencies you feel in your bones before ears register them, mimicking the warden's terrifyingly seismic footsteps. While distant chimes clatter like long-dead civilizations, wind chimes stirred by unwary explorers' movements, tension coiled in every sustained synth note primed to snap into a shrieking orchestra of alarms should ancient city sensors detect life. This intentional dichotomy reveals Rain's compositional philosophy, that Minecraft's music shouldn't soundtrack the player's actions, but embody the biomes themselves, giving auditory form to ecosystems millions of blocks wide. Her approach to the mysterious ancient cities exemplifies this best, abandoned megastructures, humming with forgotten technology, where her compositions embed narrative clues. Through recurring musical motifs, a mournful duduk melody perhaps representing long vanished builders, or staccato percussion echoing their automated defenses gone rogue, transforming ambient music into environmental storytelling. Rewards for players patient enough to listen closely while skulk sensors prick malevolently at their every footstep, yet for all its emotional rawness. This is music crafted with obsessive technical precision, invisible systems, ensuring the score dynamically mirrors player experience. Serene piano notes slowly interwoven with dissonant strings when health dwindles. Undersea melodies growing, more complex as coral reefs flourish nearby. Layered tracks reacting to biome transitions in real time so each player's soundtrack becomes uniquely theirs. A responsive musical organism evolving alongside every dug tunnel and built castle. Rain's toolkit for these adaptive symphonies is fascinatingly eclectic, blending futuristic synthesis with instruments forged centuries ago. Mongolian overtones singing reverberating through basalt deltas. Armenian Dudic breathiness fluttering like phantom wings in mushroom forests. Modular synthesizers processing rainfall into glitched-out percussion alongside traditional Japanese kodos transformed through digital modulation into sounds unrecognizable yet profoundly organic. Each sonic choice serves immersion. The Dudic's mournful timbre derives from its construction using apricot wood and reed, an earthy fragility mirroring the nether's paradoxical beauty amidst brutality. While the chromatic kalimba layers mimic randomly generated or veins glinting in your torchlight, music not merely played but unearthed, collaboration bleeds through every measure. From Mojang's audio engineers painstakingly tweaking reverb to match specific cave dimensions, to letting gameplay mechanics inspire compositions, Warden's sonic boom attack directly influencing skulk sensor alarm frequencies, culminating in an alchemy where code and creativity harmonize flawlessly. You never hear the seams, only the magic. Perhaps most remarkably, Rain's modern creations haven't supplanted C418's classics, but conversed with them, like old friends catching up across dimensional gaps. Veteran players report seismic nostalgia when a new biome's music unexpectedly quotes Sweden's melody on a detuned music box, or when the main menu's shuffled playlist unpredictably juxtaposes the gentle subwoofer lullaby against the throbbing synths of So Below. Sparks of recognition flashing across decades of playtime reminding us all worlds expand, but never forget their origins. The community embraced this symbiosis joyously. YouTube flooded with pick-step funk remixes, harp arrangements of ancient city dirges, piano sonatas weaving together with hands melodies with lush cave motifs. Gamers turn musicians transforming Rain's work through their own creativity, birthing a feedback loop where official compositions inspire fan art, which in turn influences future official soundtracks, the very definition of living music. Step back now. Headphones still echoing with overworld winds and nether cyclones, and witness how subtly Minecraft's audio identity has shifted, no longer exclusively solitary contemplation, but now encompassing adrenaline, dread, paternal protectiveness toward discovered axles, existential crawling through alien biomes. Tracks like Stand Tall's militaristic percussion empowering players to shield villages from pillagers, or an ordinary day's flute-driven optimism celebrating small victories. Like a perfected redstone contraption, this emotional broadening mirrors the game's own evolution from survival sim to shared universe, where every player authors personal legends. Rain's compositions providing fittingly epic intimacy whether you're constructing your first dirt hut or engineering, flying machines into the stars, as updates inevitably bring new biomes, mobs, civilizations, both thriving and extinct. One question pulses with the quiet insistence of a deep dark sensor: where can Minecraft's soundscapes venture next under Rain's baton? Volcanic archipelagos scored with Polynesian log drums, and hissing steam vents processed into rhythmic tracks. Perhaps frozen tundras where glass harmonicas shiver alongside sampled ice sheets groaning under impossible pressures. Deserts humming with throats singing swirling through sandstorm static, or even stranger realms beyond current comprehension. Yet whatever comes, the foundation remains unshaken. Oral storytelling honoring Minecraft's soul while fearlessly whispering listen. There are still wonders here you've never imagined. So the next time night falls in your world, pause before retreating indoors. Stand quietly as stars pierce the pixelated sky, and let the new hybrid soundtrack wash over you. Cicadas buzzing blended with subtle synth pads. A distant flute melody that might be C418's Ghost or Rain's Breath, or perhaps both harmonizing across time, proof that great art never replaces, but transcends, inviting us all to keep listening. Keep exploring. Keep remembering that in Minecraft, as in life, the most profound discoveries often arrive not through sight, but sound. Imagine stepping into a world of endless possibility, your footsteps crunching on gravel underfoot. The distant clink of ore waiting to be discovered, wind rustling through oak leaves high above. And then, silence. A profound, purposeful silence that stretches like a canvas before the first brushstroke of sound paints your adventure. This is the magic of Minecraft's audio design, a symphony conducted by your actions, where every note is deliberate, every silence a calculated breath, drawing you deeper into its blocky embrace. Behind these seemingly simple sounds lies a labyrinth of technical wizardry and psychological artistry, transforming planks of piano keys into emotional anchors and crafting atmospheres so immersive you forget you're playing a game at all. Let's journey together into the humming heart of Minecraft's sound system, where code and creativity collide to build worlds within your mind. Close your eyes and picture this. You're tunneling deep underground, pickaxe swinging rhythmically against stone as cobblestone cracks and falls. A single piano note drifts into the darkness, a fragile, distant melody that feels like a secret whispered just for you. This moment isn't random. It's procedural audio engineering at its most elegant, an algorithm observing your actions like a silent composer, choosing when to weave music into your story based on context. Mining triggers melancholic motifs, exploring summons, wandering ambient textures. Lying in a bed beneath a woolen canopy lulls you with a lullaby that syncs with the setting sun. The genius lies in subtlety. The system avoids repetitions your brain might catch, like a clever illusionist shuffling cards without you seeing the trick. Tracks shuffle in non-linear sequences. Their links and entrances randomized so you'll never quite predict when the next piano key will fall like a raindrop into your consciousness. And those instruments so. The instrument C418's Volume Alpha is masterclass in minimalism, using piano and synth tones so sparse they feel like mist rather than downpour, ensuring the music never overpowers, but instead lives in the margins between your thoughts. Its sound as texture, not intrusion, a companion that respects your need to hear the hiss of creepers before they rewrite your inventory. Now consider the silence, those long stretches where all you hear are pigs snuffling at carrot, farms or skeletons rattling far beneath your feet. This emptiness is no accident. It's musical absence weaponized for emotional impact, like a painter using negative space to draw the eye. Mojang sound designers let tranquility linger so that when a track like Sweden finally floats across your sunflower field at dusk, it strikes with the gentlest force. Studies in player psychology reveal how these calculated pauses heighten focus. When Minecraft's music suddenly swells, your brain releases dopamine like a reward for patience, wrapping you in nostalgic warmth even if you're hearing it for the 1000th time. And hidden beneath every composition is a technical ballet, the bass frequencies carefully scooped out to leave room for explosive mob sounds. Mid-ranges tuned to avoid muddying footsteps. Highs precise as spider webs so no delicate environmental cue gets drowned out. Every chirp of a cricket near a swamp, every sizzle of a creeper fuse their all-given spectral real estate through ruthless audio engineering, ensuring fear, wonder, or urgency arrives crystal clear in your ears. But how does this sorcery actually work beneath the hood? Let's crack open the game's code like an enchanted geoda. Those iconic tracks created by C418 using vintage synthesizers and found sound recordings are compressed into OGG files, a format chosen for its balance of small size and warm acoustics. Crucial for seamless streaming whether you're playing on a supercomputer or a smartphone mid-flight. Dive deeper, and you'll find fascinating differences between Java and Bedrock editions. How the Java V Urgen's audio engine breathes with organic dynamism, letting reverb bounce uniquely inside each cave, while Bedrock's optimized system prioritizes punchier, responsive sounds for cross-platform play. The Mojang team tests these auditory landscapes with near-scientific rigor, simulating hours of gameplay across biomes. How does a desert's wind sound when layered with husk groans? Does jungle rain mask the click of a charging crossbow? They've built digital sound gardens where melodies are stress-tested against every possible scenario, ensuring notes bloom perfectly whether you're building a castle or fleeing the Ender Dragon. Yet Minecraft's true audio magic extends beyond Mojang's labs. It thrives in the hands of its players. Resource packs transform the soundtrack into a communal playground with simple file swaps. Monochromatic piano tones become orchestral fanfares, retro chiptune beats, or even ASMR-inspired forest whispers. Modding communities have elevated this further. Biomes O Plenty weaves original scores into new ecosystems so cohesive they feel like lost C418 demos, while adventure maps use custom music to guide players through narrative crescendos as potent as any film score. And then there are the preservationists, those devoted archivists, scouring old hard drives and forum posts for rare tracks like Excuse or Droopy Likes Ricochet. Abandoned prototypes that whisper what Minecraft soundscape nearly became. These tracks, uploaded to fan museums with annotations detailing their origins, remind us that even unused notes contribute to the game's living acoustic legacy, a tapestry forever being rewoven by creators wearing Auth developer hats and diamond armor. So next time you pause in a spruce forest at twilight, listening to a music box melody drift between tree trunks like fireflies, remember you're not just hearing code. You're experiencing a decades-long conversation between mathematics and emotion, where every silence is a held breath and every note a carefully placed stepping stone across the river of your imagination. Minecraft's audio design isn't just about what you hear, it's about the spaces between. The memories tied to certain chords. The way your heartbeat syncs with a beat when torchlight reveals diamonds glinting in the dark. It's proof that in a world built of blocks, the truest magic is intangible, a ghostly piano echoing through caves as deep as your sense of wonder, reminding you that sometimes what shapes a universe isn't what's seen, but what's felt in the marrow. When sound becomes soul, imagine for a moment stepping into a world carved entirely from your own imagination, rolling pixelated hills stretching toward a blocky sunset, hidden caves whispering with the echoes of distant lava flows, vast oceans glitching gently against shores of sand. Now close your eyes and listen. That soft chime of piano keys drifting through the air like sunlight through stained glass. Those gentle ambient notes weaving through your memories like threads through fabric. For an entire generation, these sounds aren't just background noise, they're the heartbeat of adolescence. The quiet pulse of creativity. The shimmering bridge between childhood wonder and adult nostalgia. This is the story of how Minecraft's music became the anthem of millions, etched into the collective consciousness not through bombastic crescendos or chart-topping hooks, but through the delicate alchemy of minimalist melodies that somehow inexplicably hold within them entire universes of feeling. Picture a 12-year-old in 2012. Knees pulled to chest in the blue glow of their family computer, carving their first dirt hut into a hillside as night falls in game. The eerie moan of distant creatures creeps through the speakers, and then, softly, the first notes of Sweden begin. That child isn't just hearing a song, they're being wrapped in an emotional safety net. A digital lullaby telling them that even in this strange land of creepers and skeletons, there is beauty in the silence between the notes. Today, that child is 24. And when they play those tracks while studying for final exams or riding the subway to their first real job, the world momentarily softens into the shape of a simpler time. This phenomenon is an isolated scroll through any study live stream on YouTube. Headphones resting on desk pillows like ancient artifacts, the algorithm feeds us lo-fi beats and white noise, yet time and again. Minecraft's music climbs view counts for one reason. It doesn't just help concentration, it transports. ASMR creators layer the crackle of virtual campfires over wet hands. Millions typing comments like "I feel like I'm healing my inner child" as those iconic floating note blocks rise from a digital crafting table. Listen closer, hear the testimonies woven into online forums, taped to university dorm walls, whispered in therapy sessions. A teenager in Sweden writes that subwoofer lullaby caught them through their parents' divorce by offering an escape hatch made of sound. A game developer in Mexico credits the soundtrack's sparse elegance with inspiring her own studio's design philosophy. And in a Tokyo bedroom, a composer admits he still dissects the layered textures of Danny, not to replicate the technique, but to capture that same ache of isolation transformed into strange comfort. But how did these tracks leap from gaming headsets to the heartbeat of culture itself? Rewind to early YouTube, when every other creator's intro pulsed with those familiar chimes, an instant signal to viewers that here, in this space, imagination was welcome. Unlike royalty-free jingles that faded into annoyance, Minecraft's music became the internet's campfire song, passed between creators like Folklore. Fast forward to TikTok's infinite scroll, where in 2023, a sped-up slice of mice on Venus scores a viral meme about pandemic nostalgia. 3 million replays under hashtag Minecraft healed us. Now watch as it transcends screens entirely. A string quartet in Vienna weaves Hagstrom into a wedding processional, their cello humming as the bride walks not to classical tradition, but to the melody that played during the couple's First virtual date during lockdown. Halfway across the world in Santiago, Chile, protesters chant through tear gas while someone's phone speaker plays Dry Hands as a makeshift hymn of peaceful resistance. The music morphs into cultural scaffolding precisely because it carries no fixed meaning, only raw emotional space for listeners to project their own lives onto. Science might explain the grip these tracks hold on us. Neurologists studying musical memory point to how simpler compositions, those uncluttered piano motifs, ambient textures, breathing like sleepers, activate the hippocampus differently than complex arrangements. Hence, without dense instrumentation demanding focus, our brains instinctively reach for personal associations. Think of how the Legend of Zelda's Great Fairy Fountain or Final Fantasy VII's Aerith's theme can choke throats decades later. Minecraft's soundtrack belongs to that rare pantheon of minimalist game music that bypasses the ears entirely to resonate directly with lived experience. Therapists quietly note its presence in treatment rooms, some substituting whale sounds with living mice during mindfulness sessions. A researcher in Oslo documented patients with severe anxiety responding faster to C418's tracks than guided meditations. The difference, she claims, is that when the music comes wrapped in nostalgia, the brain perceives safety not as an abstract concept, but as a visceral memory. Asterisk, you survived this feeling before inside a world you built. You can survive it now. Asterisk, while Minecraft's visuals evolve with new biomes and shaders, its music remains frozen in eternal amber, a time capsule sealed when the game's alpha sold mere thousands. No wonder vinyl pressings of the soundtrack sell out within minutes. The analog warmth of records becoming sacred relics for a generation raised on digital transients. Museums now archive these tracks alongside Pac-Man bleeps and Tetris themes as evidence of gaming's emotional evolution, while university courses dissect how Clark manipulates reverb to conjure vastness from just 57 seconds. Yet the most profound legacy plays out in quiet moments. Fans send to composer C418 letters that read like confessions carved into bark. One mother's email describes playing Moog City during her infant's colicky nights, the song imprinting so deeply that now, at 6, the child hums it while sketching villages in crayon. A dying YouTuber's final broadcast ended not with farewells, but with 12 minutes of Minecraft playing over sunrise footage from their first ever world save. And always, always, the stories of teenagers writing asterisk, your music was the blanket I hid under when nothing else felt safe. Asterisk, what emerges isn't merely nostalgia for a game, it's proof that in our fractured digital age, certain harmonies can still bind us together. Close your eyes again. There it is, the faint echo of a note block struck somewhere in the dark. Not a soundtrack, but a shared heartbeat for every player who ever pressed pause on reality to build something beautiful, even temporary, beneath the glow of a blocky moon. When future historians ask how an entire generation learned to articulate longing through pixels and chords, play them this. Imagine a vault buried deep beneath the pixelated surface of Minecraft's legacy, a place where unfinished melodies hum in dusty corners, where legal documents crackle like charged creepers, and where the echoes of creative clashes fade into the bittersweet silence of what could have been. This is the realm behind closed doors, where Minecraft's music, the very soul of its endless worlds, holds stories of secrecy, passion, and discord. Let me take you there. Begin with the scratch of a needle on vinyl, not the warm, familiar tones of asterisk subwoofer lullaby asterisk, but something unsettled, a distant piano loops disjointed, yearning for resolution. This is Danny in its embryonic form, a forgotten ghost track from C418's earliest experiments. For asterisk volume alpha asterisk, it was meant to score the sunrises over birch forests, but something didn't click. A tempo too erratic, a melody too haunting, no one knows. What we do know is that these lost archives are littered with such fragments: abandoned boss battle, themes resembling industrial drills, underwater ambiances that dissolved into unsettling whale song. They weren't thrown away, they were left behind, like fossils in the code. For years, they slept undisturbed until data miners, armed with digital pickaxes, pried open pre-release game files. Deeper they dug, discovering not just unfinished tracks, but whole musical dimensions that never saw daylight, like a nether portal flickering out before you could step through. These sonic relics now circulate in hushed forums, shared like forbidden sheet music, a testament to creative roads not taken. Yet the silence surrounding these vaults wasn't always voluntary. When Microsoft purchased Minecraft in 2014, the acquisition didn't just change the game, it rewired its DNA. Suddenly, the whimsical handshake deal between C418 and Marcus Notchperson, a partnership built on midnight coding sessions and goodwill, collided with corporate contracts thick enough to crush a villager. C418's original royalty-free agreement, where his music flowed freely into Let's Plays and speedruns, began to chafe against a new reality of content policing. Compare this to Lena Raine's entrance years later, her asterisk nether update asterisk tracks wrapped in modern licensing chains. Both composers wrote for the same blocks, but under different kingdoms. Fan creators felt this shift like a Redstone shock. Projects celebrating the game's culture, fan animations, remix albums, tribute servers were suddenly slapped with content ID claims, mute buttons pressed by faceless algorithms. The community raged. Music that once belonged to everyone now had invisible walls. And, behind it all, a quiet, bitter irony. C418's own tracks, conceived in freedom, occasionally flagged asterisk by the system built over his legacy asterisk, but the tension didn't stop at the courtroom doors. Venture outward, beyond the overworld, and you'll find spin-offs wrestling with identity. Asterisk Minecraft, story mode asterisk, telltale cinematic gamble, word to life with licensed rock anthems, a jarring departure from C418's minimalist tones. Justified? Perhaps it was a scripted drama, not a sandbox. But to purists, it felt like replacing a campfire's crackle with roaring stadium amps. Asterisk Minecraft Dungeons asterisk, however, courted controversy by swinging to the opposite extreme, lush orchestral sweeps that drowned out the simplicity of leitmotifs fans adored. Asterisk Legends asterisk and asterisk Earth asterisk drifted further, their scores pleasant but anonymous. The backlash wasn't just nostalgia, it was betrayal. These spin-offs weren't just games, they were cultural offshoots, and music wasn't their backdrop, it was the thread tying them to Minecraft's beating heart. When Minecraft Earth shuttered in 2021, its soundtrack faded into the digital void and released, unremembered, just another artifact in the corporate strata. Yet through the noise, a question whispers. What did this journey cost the artist? C418 Daniel Rosenfeld once joked that composing for Minecraft felt like painting a mural on a rocket ship. He watched, bewildered, as his ambient loops became lullabies for a generation. His identity merged with the game until interviews asked little else. But listen closely to volume beta the agitation in aria math . The melancholy undercurrent of Taswell . This was a composer straining beautifully against expectation. Could he escape the shadow of his creation? He tried experimental albums, film scores, yet stubbornly, gloriously, the Minecraft sound lingered. Fans still beg for the mythic volume gamma teased and tabled. Promises, regrets. Rosenfeld remains cryptically silent, letting the music speak. And speak it does not just in notes, but in precedent. Indie composers today wield Minecraft's legacy like a shield in contract negotiations. See what happens when art is respected. The C418 clause whispers through Discord servers and boardrooms a demand for artist ownership in a world hungry to claim it. So let me ask you this. When Mojang teased new original music for 2024's Minecraft 1.21 update why did the community hold its breath? Because buried in those notes, in every keyboard click and legal skirmish, this isn't just about soundtracks. It's about a cultural monument built onto conflicting truths, that art thrives when it belongs to everyone and burns when corporations fence it in. The records may stay sealed, the disputes unresolved, but for now, in the quiet between the nether's distant cries and the overworld's gentle rain, the music still plays, always almost loud enough to hear the whole story. Now close your eyes. This vault isn't sealed yet. Somewhere, in a forgotten hard drive, Danny loops eternally, waiting for sunrise. And the battle for who owns that sunrise, well, that's a song with no end. Imagine standing at the edge of a blocky world as the first notes of a piano drift through the air, a sound so fragile it feels like frost forming on glass. This is how millions have first encountered Minecraft's soul, not through visuals alone, but through soundscapes that breathe life into pixelated mountains and forests. The music of Minecraft whispers secrets about our own world, stitching together melodies from snow-dusted Norwegian fjords, humid Balinese jungles, and windswept Andean plateaus into something universally magical. Let's follow these sounds to their sources, not just as game music, but as fragments of human culture, echoing across continents and centuries. Close your eyes in Minecraft's tundra biome, and the music transports you to Scandinavia's heart. Composer C418 wove Norwegian icy purity into tracks like Hagstrom, where minimalist piano melodies mirror the vastness of Northern Europe's landscapes. Each note hangs in the air like breath in sub-zero air, evoking folk tunes played in remote villages under endless winter nights. Then there's Clark, its melody curling like mist over a frozen lake, carrying echoes of myth trolls lurking in mountain caves, spirits dancing in aurora-lit skies. Decades later, Composer Lena Raine would expand this Nordic tapestry by fusing it with thunderous Japanese taiko drums in other side, making the nether's hellscape pulse with primal rhythm. These sounds feel simultaneously ancient and newborn, proving that cultural roots can grow in digital soil. But Minecraft's soundtrack doesn't just imitate nature, it is nature. C418 once strapped microphones to trees in German forests, recording creaking wood and rustling leaves to layer into tracks. Play Minecraft Sweden near an actual Swedish pine forest, and you'll hear cousins. The same soft decay of piano notes mimicking falling needles, synths humming like wind through branches. Every biome sings its own geological lullaby. In deserts, silence stretches between sparse notes like heat shimmering over sand, a musical nod to Middle Eastern Macan scales, where pauses speak as loudly as sounds. Jungles bustle with percussive textures, recalling Southeast Asian gamelan orchestras. Metallic tones pinging like rain on broad leaves. Even underwater caves gurgle with processed field recordings of actual streams, turning real world hydrology into ghostly choirs. Yet weaving global sounds into a game invites thorny questions. When does homage become theft? When Minecraft introduced bamboo forests. Lena Raine composed tracks using the asterisk as asterisk, a Japanese bamboo flute. Instead of pasting the instrument into the score, she collaborated with musicians versed in its centuries-old traditions, ensuring respect lived in every breathy note. Contrast this with early critiques about Andean asterisk, Quena asterisk flute samples feeling decorative in mountain biomes, a reminder that notes played on indigenous instruments carry the weight of living cultures, not just exotic flavor. Raine's approach evolved into creative alchemy. For the Nether update, Balinese gamelan tones were warped through distortion pedals until they screamed like lava bubbles, while Celtic harps were plucked with frozen fingers. For icy biomes, their crystalline decay preserved through studio wizardry. The soundtrack became a symposium, not stealing voices, but inviting them. And here's Minecraft's silent genius. Its music has no words, without lyrics tying it to one language. A child in Seoul hears Sweden and pictures her grandmother's village near Jiri Mountain. A teenager in Lagos remixes Mice on Venus with talking drums and Olga bells. Layering Yoruba rhythms over C418's bittersweet chords, UNESCO once hosted a panel debating how to preserve digital culture, citing Minecraft's soundtrack as a Rosetta Stone of global harmony, a library where Korean asterisk Gaijum asterisk thither covers coexist with Peruvian asterisk charango asterisk improvisations. Play the game anywhere on Earth, and the music feels both familiar and foreign, like hearing half-remembered lullabies from a past life. Even hostile mobs hiss and growl in tones sampled from international wildlife, Australian possums, Amazonian frogs, Siberian wolves blurring the line between monster and ecosystem. So next time you dig into a Minecraft cave and hear dripping water morph into a synth pad, remember, those drops were recorded in a real cavern by a composer kneeling in mud. Headphones catching Earth's whispers, the loneliness you feel hearing piano notes fade over a virtual ocean. That's centuries of Scandinavian yearning condensed into melody. Minecraft's greatest treasure isn't diamonds, it's this sonic web connecting deserts to tundras, tradition to innovation, player to planet. Press mute, and the world goes flat. But turn the volume up, and suddenly you're standing at the crossroads of all humanity's musical heritage, where every biome hums a different continent's heartbeat. And a creeper's hiss is just Mother Nature reminding you to listen closer in the quiet glow of a monitor, where blocky landscapes stretch beneath pixelated skies. An unexpected symphony began to rise not just from the game itself, but from the hands and hearts of millions who played it. Imagine a lonely Swedish melody floating through endless forests, composed by C418 to accompany the solitary dance of mining and building. But then picture something new, a piano's gentle notes echoing that melody in a sunlit bedroom, recorded on a laptop webcam and shared with the world. This is where our story begins with countless fingers plucking strings, tapping keys, and rewriting code, all to celebrate Minecraft's music in ways no one could have predicted. The soundtrack was never meant to stay confined to the game, like creeping vines taking over a forgotten castle. Player creativity burst through the seams, transforming background ambience into a global cultural phenomenon that bridged bedrooms and concert halls, amateurs and orchestras, memes and masterpieces. Let's wander through this revolution together, from those first trembling covers to explosions of collaborative genius that redefined what video game music could become. We start in the early 2010s, when YouTube was still a wild frontier of raw creativity. Someone, somewhere, sat at their family's old piano and thought, asterisk, what if I played Sweden myself? Asterisk, perhaps it was the night after a marathon gaming session, the tune stuck in their head like honey, warm and nostalgic. That pioneer turned out to be Laura Shigehara, already known for her tender zombie on your lawn from Plants vs. Zombies. When her delicate piano cover dropped, something shifted. Thousands discovered her video not as a novelty, but as a key unlocking buried emotion. Comment sections flooded with stories. Asterisk, this sounds like my childhood. Asterisk or asterisk, I cry every time. Asterisk, suddenly. Asterisk, playing asterisk, Minecraft's music became as important as playing the game. Bedrooms transformed into recording studios overnight. 12-year-olds picked up ukulele-style instruments, fitting tiny hands, strumming wet hands with such sincere clumsiness that millions leaned in closer, listening past the occasional missed note to feel the joy radiating through screens. These covers spread like dandelion seeds. A teenager in Seoul layering ethereal humming over harp strings. A father in Brazil teaching his daughter the melody on a weathered guitar. A group of college friends in Toronto laughing as they harmonize the still track's plinking cave sounds with kazoos and soda bottles. But the wildest twist came in the form of parody, where lyrics erupted like geysers from the game's wordless score. Overnight, Diamond became an anthem not through official channels, but through gamers belting tongue-in-cheek odes to mining in their bedrooms. Asterisk, creepers blastin'. I'm digging fast. Can't these zombies just leave me alone? Asterisk, these weren't just songs, they became shared inside jokes, bonding players across continents. Minecraft's music, once ambient wallpaper, had become folklore passed down, altered, celebrated in endless new dialects. This wasn't merely fandom, this was alchemy. But why stop at covering the music when you could hack it into the game itself? Enter the modders' digital wizards who saw Minecraft's code not as walls, but as scaffolding. Early on, someone tinkered with sound files, discovering that swapping out .ogg audio clips could replace entire in-game tracks. A quiet spark ignited into wildfire. Suddenly, players weren't just listening to fan-made covers, they were living inside them. Remember the first time you stumbled upon a custom jukebox record in the Ether mod? That floating island dimension wasn't just stunning. Its creators composed entire celestial soundscapes to accompany your flight. Notes simmered like stardust as you soared, ambience handcrafted by amateurs that felt more magical than anything in the vanilla game. Meanwhile, resource pack artists became sonic architects. Why trudge through the nether to see for 18's ominous drones when you could warp the hellscape into a retro synthwave nightmare? Picture lava lakes glowing under neon purple skies while pulsing bass lines thump through your headphones. Hell transformed into AVHS-era disco. Classical lovers rewrote the end's dreary piano into sweeping orchestral tragedies fit for dragon battles. The deeper secret? Anyone could do it. Tutorials bloom kindergarten simple guides teaching players to replace sound files, to script dynamic events where music swelled during blood moons or softened at dawn. A 12-year-old in Oslo made her village theme trigger rain soundscapes whenever clouds gathered. A retiree in Kyoto programmed his redstone contraptions to play fanfare when his automatic farms harvested wheat. Minecraft's audio was no longer a fixed experience. It became play in the hands of players, reshaped to fit infinite moods and stories. And every shared mod, every downloadable resource pack, wove threads into a sprawling sonic tapestry no single composer could have dreamt alone. Of course, revolutions craved stages, and Minecraft's music found its brightest spotlight in the year the world stood still, 2020. As lockdowns swallowed cities, screens became windows to connection. And someone brilliant asked, what if we threw a music festival inside Minecraft? Picture it an arena of prismarine and glowstone, built pixel by pixel for one night only. Avatars with diamond armor mosh beside pandas in party hats, as harpists covered mice on Venus on floating lily pads. But the soul of it all was the Q&A with C418 himself, Daniel Rosenfeld, projected on glowing blocks while players typed frantic questions into chat. Did you know Sweden would become iconic? What's your favorite fan remix? His humble answers, delivered via blocky text, felt like scripture. I never expected any of this. You made it yours. Collaborative sparks flew everywhere that year. Corpse Husband, the faceless horror narrator, dropped a blood-curdling remix of Mice on Venus, slowing the melody to a funeral dragwell sub. Bass vibrated like Enderman groans. A million fans shivered, then flooded comment sections with pixel art tributes to the track's new, haunted life orchestras. Desperate to play for silenced concert halls, streamed Minecraft suites like video games live, transforming Danny into a brass heavy epic. The audience's cheers replaced by cascading chat emojis. And McFest, their annual Minecraft symphony, became pilgrimage. Musicians in creeper hoodies shredding guitars behind laptops displaying blocky visuals. These weren't mere performances, they were lifelines. when real-life stages crumbled. Minecraft built new ones from code and sheer love, proving music could thrive even in isolation, especially then. And then came the miracle no one predicted, fans becoming official asterisk. Picture Lena Raine, once just another name, on SoundCloud uploading moody remixes of The End. Her tracks swirled with bioluminescent synths and rainstick textures, catching Mojang's ear. Suddenly, she was composing zealous soundtrack. Then returning to her roots to craft the Nether Update's crimson-hued masterpiece, a glorious full circle moment where fan passion met professional opportunity. Across universities, professors noticed students raising hands. I want to score games like Minecraft. How do I start? Composition classes began with deconstructing Sweden's chord progressions. Children dissected noteblock covers on YouTube Kids, reverse engineering melodies with toy keyboards, the digital age's Mozart anecdote, and through it all, the fan-made music sustained Minecraft's heartbeat between official updates. When years passed, without new C418 tracks, players filled the silence. A teenager's guitar cover of Minecraft on a misty mountaintop gathered 40 million views, its mournful tone resonating deeper than any studio recording. Modders composed entire expansion soundtracks for forgotten updates. Remix albums appeared on Spotify, Apple, shiny and professional, breathing EDM or lo-fi beats into nostalgic melodies. The original soundtrack became a living thing, not preserved in amber, but reshaped daily by a million loving hands. Even C418 admitted his own work felt different now, like a folk song passed through generations until its origin blurred into collective ownership, which is how, 20 years after Minecraft's birth at Marcus Person's desk, you can still wander its worlds and hear surprises, a jukebox in someone's cabin spinning a Vietnamese folk cover recorded by a dentist in Hanoi. A university student's eye project harmonizing biome noises into ambient drones. A toddler's xylophone rendition of cat echoing from a parent's phone. This never stops, because the music was never just Daniel's, it was yours. Its anthems shouted in dead languages in nether fortresses, its MIDI files traded on forgotten forums. It's a girl in Nairobi teaching herself piano one blocky melody at a time. Minecraft's soundtrack broke free. It belongs to anyone brave enough to play it, rebuild it, reinvent it. And somewhere out there tonight, another cover is being recorded in a dark room, a ukulele maybe, or a beat made from sampled mining sounds uploaded to the vast digital sea, where it will find ears that needed it. This is the paradox of great art. It finishes only when you start making it your own. We began with a single piano echoing through empty chambers. Now we have a billion instruments, playing forever.